All right, MuggleNet's Snitch Center is here in our tent, our Snitch Center tent, and we are joined with the CEO, co-founder of the International Quidditch Association, Alex Benepe. Alex, how are you doing today?
Hey Keith, I'm fantastic today. It is a beautiful day out here in Kissimmee, Florida. The teams are all playing great today. Everything's running smoothly. I'm glad you guys could be here with us.
Well, we're glad to be here, too. You are dressed in the best white outfit I have ever seen. I'm used to the black tux, but you brought out the white. You're going all bling today. Now, tell me about the opening ceremonies. What did you do at the opening ceremonies that was a lot of fun?
Well, we did a Harlem Shake at the opening ceremonies. The first round was a little bit of a dud because the speakers weren't turned up loud enough, so we kind of had to reset. I hope it turned out okay. We're going to see what the videos look like. But the main reason we wanted to do is just to kind of have fun with the teams and keep things lighthearted, and that's the goal. You know, sometimes when it's great that the sport's gotten super competitive, and I'm glad for that, but you need to mix in some fun to keep things on an even keel.
Well, normally with the opening ceremonies, all the teams would come in, which they did. But then additionally, we had the foreign teams sing their national anthems, which was really cool. And then we had somebody sing the national anthem for America. And then we did the Harlem Shake after a really nice, rousing speech by Alex. But today, Alex, I want to get into the pool play because that's what we're here for. We're here for the Quidditch World Cup and the actual competition. This Quidditch World Cup is the most intense that you've ever had. The reason for it is they had to qualify through regular play to get into the Quidditch World Cup. Right. So we have 80 Division 1 or 60 Division 1 teams and 20 Division 2 teams, and Division 1 is really shaping up nicely. So far, there's been a couple upsets. Have you heard anything so far?
Yeah, probably the biggest upset I've heard of so far was FSU beating Marquette. I believe they went into overtime, and then FSU managed to pull the snitch.
Yeah, actually what happened is the snitch was grabbed by FSU. They were down by 30 points. They grabbed the snitch, took it in overtime, and there was no score in overtime. It was an immediate snitch cash to end the game. Marquette devastated by that. They are the #1 seed in the Pool 6. And, again, upset by FSU.
Marquette, they were also the Midwest regional champions this year. They were the best team in the Midwest at our regional championship. So it's definitely a shock to them to lose in a pool game like that.
Well, now the best division, in my opinion, the best region here at this Quidditch World Cup is the Southeast Division. Would you agree with that?
The Southeast region? Well,
or Southwest, maybe.
Southwest. I can't really pick favorites here. I will tell you that the Southwest definitely believes it's the best region.
Well, they have Texas A&M. They have University of Texas at Austin. Who else is in that? Baylor?
Well, Baylor's the surprise act of this year, although the Southwest will tell you they're not a surprise act because Baylor won the Southwest Regionals this year, and all the Southwest teams are like, well, we're not surprised. They've been playing great. They took out Texas A&M and University of Texas in the semifinals and finals, and they were playing great. You know, they had the best day ever. I'm curious to see how they play at World Cup if they can continue sort of riding that wave.
Well, right now Baylor is in the same pool, #1, with University of Kansas and the University of California, Berkeley, and VCU. Do you see anybody challenging them in that division? I really don't. I mean, Kansas might be the only team that has a shot at it, but do you see them really upsetting Baylor at all?
A Kansas-Baylor game is definitely on my list of games to watch. I'm also very excited to see Boston University versus Villanova. Those are coming up later this afternoon on the championship pitch.
Yeah, Baylor versus Kansas is actually game number 99 on the championship field at 5 o'clock. That is a game that we will not be missing because that is going to be some hard-hitting, fierce action. There's been a lot of great competition on the championship field. LSU and ASU matched up earlier today where LSU took it. But I got to tell you, that was some hard-hitting Quidditch. I mean, we're going to show some video clips in this segment, and there's some serious knockdown, drag-out. It's getting to be even rougher than rugby. What do you feel about the hitting this year?
Well, I will say this, that both ASU and LSU are teams that know how to hit each other well and hit safely. There's definitely a way to tackle correctly and safely so that you can give a big hit and take someone down without hurting them.
Now, speaking of hurting them, there are ambulances here. There are medical staff here. At the last Quidditch World Cup, we had a bunch of concussions. We had a couple broken bones. How about this year? Have you heard of any major injuries so far?
I haven't had a chance to check in with the medics yet for a report, but our logistics team is doing that on a regular basis. Whenever there's any kind of ambulance transport needed, our logistics team is over there. We're recording all of the injuries and any of the ambulance trips. I think so far it's been a lot better than last year. To my knowledge, there have only been 2 ambulance transports so far, and that's great. And we have ambulances here on standby. We have concussion specialists. We have dozens of athletic trainers. We have one position to each field. So we're taking safety is a big priority for us. And also, I would say the single biggest thing that has made the game safer this year is the introduction of the referee certification program. So all of the refs are, not only do they know the rules inside and out, but they learn how to be much more sort of assertive and controlling of the field and can keep games safe and under control.
Yeah, over on the championship field, there's a bunch of bleachers that surround the field, and if any play gets even close to the line, they're blowing the whistle and saying, "Hey, let's bring it back into play." So everybody does stay safe, especially the fans. I mean, these guys go running full speed, and they run into some 60-year-old lady that's there to watch a game. It's not going to be a pretty sight, and we definitely don't want any of that today.
What we did this year that's new is you'll notice all of the fields have, in addition to the white line on the outside of the field, there's an additional yellow line 5 meters out from the circumference, and that's the sort of zone in which fans aren't allowed to stand. So that way, when the ball goes out of bounds, if there's any fans in that area, the ref will immediately stop play.
That's right. Let's change gears a little bit. I want to get into the future of the Quidditch, okay? Quidditch World Cup launched a campaign this past year to get the Quidditch World Cup down here in Kissimmee, where cities were basically bidding to have the Quidditch World Cup here, and Kissimmee won. The future is bright in this manner, where I think it could go to Texas, it could go to Chicago, it could go out to California in the next future years. But here's the big question for you. Harry Potter is the soul of this game, okay? The books are English. We just had the Summer Olympics over last year, where 5 teams, including the UK, competed over in England for the torch ceremony in Oxford. Do you see the Quidditch World Cup anywhere in the near future over in England?
I think that the Quidditch World Cup will remain in America for the foreseeable future. But what we are going to organize in summer 2014 is an event that we're going to call the Global Games. And that will be an event much like our demo match in Oxford last summer, in which each country in the IQA will send one team to it. And we are looking at cities in Canada for that right now. And OAN is helping us look at those cities. And that's an event that perhaps the following summer could be held somewhere on another continent.
So is it almost like an X Games that you're going to be doing?
I guess you could say it's like X.
Different venues, bringing in different all-star teams and everything else, because it's not really an Olympic thing.
Yeah, it's almost more like the Olympics, actually, because you have the teams as national teams wearing their country's colors. But I don't know, we recently published our 4-year plan, and we're hoping by 2017 to make a shift. That'll be the 10th World Cup X. And we're going to have that World Cup be the first World Cup that only national teams are at. And we're hoping to have 16 nations there. And when that happens, this event, which is mostly, let's face it, an American collegiate event, will become something like the U.S. Cup. And it'll still be a huge Quidditch event. It'll probably be the same size, if not bigger. I think we're going to try and keep, because the bigger the league gets, we'll need to make the World Cup gradually bigger while keeping a cap on the teams. But converting the World Cup into an event where you have like top teams from every country in the world coming over, and turning it really almost into, right now this event is very team centric, and it's really fun, and I hope that every country can have an event like this, like the Australian Cup, the US Cup, the English Cup. But then the World Cup should be an event where you just really have the best of the best of the best and tons of spectators to watch.
So you're going to be following the path of soccer?
More or less.
Sounds great. One final question for you. With the future of the IQA, a lot of issues going on with the male to female ratios on the team. There's some controversy in there. We can't make any bones about it. It's there for a reason, and I think it's the right reason. The issue, though, that I see is in situations of all-girls colleges. They feel that they are, what's the word? Prejudiced against. sort of discriminated against because they're an all-girls college and they can't have a male interaction. So how are you planning on fixing issues of that? Is there going to be any kind of allowance for teams like that to be entering into the U.S. Cup or the Canadian Cup?
We're pretty strict about the 2 minimum rule in the league, which is that whenever you are playing, 2 of your 7 players on the field, or actually it's 2 of the 6, must count on the field because the seeker's off field. 2 of the 6 must be a different gender than the other players. And it's kind of like a rule of the game, and we can't let one team waive a rule of the game and the other teams have to follow it. So unfortunately, it's a rule that we enforce without exception. How exactly teams that are all girls schools will have to deal with that, that's something we'll work out and try to find some way. But as of now, it just doesn't work to let those teams into the league. What we do allow, those teams are more than welcome to recruit male players and add them to their teams. But what I want to be clear about, I've seen some dialogue regarding Smith, and they're saying we have to have boys on your team. Well, no, we're not saying you have to have boys on your team. We're saying you have to follow the 2 minimum rule that all the other teams follow. If you were an all-boys team, we'd be telling you have to have girls on your team. And I know it's definitely challenging if you're a single-gender school to try and recruit people to join your team who are not part of your school. But unfortunately, it's not fair to the rest of the teams in the league to let one team just get an exception like that.
No, I totally understand, and I'm totally with you on that. We'll see what happens with that, and hopefully they can grab 2 players from the community and still be called a St. Catherine's College, or something like that.
It's a frustrating situation. I could understand why Smith's Quidditch team is frustrated. It's not good for them, but unfortunately, we have a lot of teams to work with here, and you can't always make everyone happy.
All right, let's get back into one more question for you, and that's the bracket play tomorrow. There's 12 pools, and 3 winners from each pool are going to be pulled into this 36 or 30. It's going to be 36 teams going into a 32-man bracket. So the beginning is probably going to have a couple of games to see, like entry games. Is that correct?
There's going to be 4 play-in games, a total of 8 teams competing for 4 spots to get into the 32.
And is that going to be based on the statistics of their pool play here, including the swim method and all that stuff?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I'm not a brackets expert, which is why I have amazingly smart and talented people who do this for me. It's just not what I'm passionate about. But I respect the people that are immensely. The top 3 teams from each pool will advance in D1. So there's 12 pools. Top 3 in each go into the 36. That goes, you go by wins-loss record first, and then you move on to a very complicated system of points differentials that's different from regular points differentials because it has all these Quidditch things factor in, like snitch when it matters and quaffle points and other details. You can find the algorithms for our ranking systems online if you're really into reading algorithms.
I am. I love it. All right, we're looking forward, and we'll see it at the brackets tomorrow. Best of luck the rest of the way. It's been a great event so far.